Yeah, I
we
know.
got the exclusive face reveal.
Yeah,
exclusive face reveal.
Hey, I told my Discord, I was like, yeah, if y'all want to see.
Yeah, awesome.
Hello, freelancers, and welcome to Fort Tarsis Radio. This is episode 9. My name is Adema360, and my terrific co-host here is Dorcius.
Hey everybody, Dorsey is here, and you notice there's 3 of us here. We have our guest today. His name is D.A.I.K.I, or it's spelled D.A.I.K.I, but just D.A.I.K.I.
Yeah,
got it. Style Gaming, and he's one of our YouTube content creators that is also in the Anthem scene. But I'll let him introduce himself really quick before you get that ball rolling.
Yeah. So most people might know me. I'm D.A.I.K.I Style Gaming, and I pretty much started covering most things Anthem since about I want to say the launch of the 2018 trailer back at E3. And ever since then, I just kind of have like nonstop been covering Anthem. And now that the game's launched and people finally get to play it, it's like, yes, so much content to cover. But yeah, so pretty hype. I also cover Warframe. I used to cover a bit of Destiny, but it's kind of a variety channel. But my main focus is definitely Anthem. So
nice. So well, we're glad to have you, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
And definitely glad to be here.
So before we start talking about like everything and going through most of the important episode stuff, there's been recent news about like the game hard crashing on the PlayStation 4 and on very small cases the Xbox One as well. So just to warn you, like the devs know about this, they're working on it. And just be careful not to brick your console, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can. This doesn't happen to many people.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, but it's just something to be wary of. And like we'll keep you posted on Twitter if we find any new information.
Yeah. I have actually had that happen to 2 of my friends I play with on a daily basis, where it just hard crashed it, and they don't assume it's anything like too bad. Like I definitely understand it could be like horrible because hard crashing period is a bad thing, but it essentially takes them to like the reboot screen where like you turned your PS4 off properly. But yeah, it happened to both of them while we were playing, and it's like, oof.
Yeah. So, just like, are you guys okay? No.
Yeah. From what I've heard and seen of what people said is some people have to do the system file check, which takes about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like in a failed boot kind of thing.
Yeah, I feel like if that happens, that's definitely something you might want to worry about.
Yeah. So just be careful of that, and hopefully they'll fix it in the next week.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully it can be as quick a fix as other patches have been. So
especially coming from a PS4 player, I hope so too. I don't want that happen to mine.
All right, quick, suddenly play on PC. Oh wait.
We'll definitely get into that. I assume.
Yeah. That's.
I did play early access on PC.
Okay, so let's get back into the main content. So many of our guests have had a history with Destiny and Destiny 2, but you're one of the first that has covered or played a decent amount of Warframe. So how long have you been part of the Warframe community, and how does the progression of the quality of life and the end game grind and things like that compare to Anthem and Destiny?
Well, because I have played Warframe since the start. I want to say when it was first released on PlayStation, like 2015-ish, 14. I can't remember when it was released on PlayStation, but I've been playing ever since. But when I started the channel, that was one of the main focuses because I knew I was pretty high mastery. I had obtained a lot of stuff in games, so I was kind of like, you know what? I think I should probably start covering it on the channel. So that's what I started doing. And in terms of like looter shooters, I feel like Anthem is probably the closest in, I guess, example of what I kind of expect from a looter shooter compared to like comparing it to Destiny, which I try to avoid it. But I guess the end game aspects of it is pretty similar right now. Now, Warframe definitely has a lot more currently to do than Anthem does, but seeing as how the devs have kind of reacted and have been talking about all the different things that are actually going to be being implemented relatively soon too, because I know we're getting some new stuff with this month's update, and then April we're having a really big update. It seems pretty promising for Anthem, especially in terms of in-game, because I mean, even right now, I don't think most people have hit their max gear power level, and even if they haven't hit it on all 4 javelins. So even that, there's still stuff to grind for. And like I said, even on today I posted on Twitter, I finally finished the Challenge of Valor, and that's, you know, challenges to grind for. There's still a lot of stuff to do, even though I know a lot of people are like, might not be enough content. And I'm like, I feel like it's enough to get you by until like every month's release. So I'm actually pretty happy with everything we have so far. Like, yeah, we could probably have like 1 or 2 more strongholds at launch, but other than that, I'm actually pretty happy with the in-game grind and everything in Anthem. So, but yeah,
good.
So now I know you kind of mentioned like with the amount of I should say content or end game, not even I think end game. I was like, when I tried to play Warframe, I was shocked.
Yeah,
the amount of stuff there is to do inside of Warframe, even compared to like Destiny. I was like, I thought I had my hands full already. Do you? I don't want to put words in your mouth or anybody else's mouth, but I'm sure we all want to be like, I would love to see that amount of stuff for Anthem. You know, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But as far as like content where we are, and then maybe with the roadmap, what are you hoping is going to come down the road for Anthem?
Well, I guess to answer your first question too about like Warframe, I think Warframe was kind of like at the point that Anthem was. Like now, I guess for most like veteran players of Warframe, they'll let you know that when you hop on Warframe, in game is pretty much doing the same things over and over again. Not that it's bad, but it's what you go on to do, whether it's farming resources to get new blueprints or doing just another extermination mission, doing the daily sortie. You're essentially going to be doing the same couple tasks each day. So I think that's similar to how Anthem is right now, because I know even when I wake up to get on Anthem, it's like, oh, here's my 3 legendary contracts, let me go do those. You know, I have some new challenges, let me grind that out a bit. So I think they're actually pretty similar. Like Warframe definitely has a lot more currently, but again, that's a game that has been around now for like 6 years. So I think going on their 6th year this month. So yeah, but I'm trying to think of the the right way to, I guess the roadmap, everything that we've got from it and that we've seen looks fantastic actually, but I kind of just hope that for the people who are kind of skeptical on it, it'll be enough for them to last them, you know, month to month, I should say. Because like I said, for me, I feel like it's definitely more than enough to get players from, you know, point A to point B while you wait per month. Like I said, I haven't even got my first javelin to max gear power, and I'm still grinding out challenges and stuff like that even before we get our first update in March or this month. And then come April, we're getting new strongholds and like so much more in guilds, leaderboards, and all this other things to grind for and do in game. So I feel like it's definitely going to be enough to do. I just think it's going to be based on the player and how they, you know, like what they look for, I guess, in a looter shooter, because it is in that genre now. So I guess we can kind of compare them to other games in that genre. Like I said, it is a lot closer to Warframe than I feel like even Destiny, because like I said, you essentially get on every day, even right now, and you're doing the same things, but you still essentially have an endpoint at the end of the day on what you're trying to grind for. So
and I totally agree on that point too. It's like it really is dependent on you as the player, kind of determine like if this is enough content for you. Like I hate to put myself out there to the wolves and say I haven't beaten the story yet, but I haven't beaten the story yet, guys. Like right now, when everybody's like, "There's not enough to do," I'm like, "There's plenty to do." I just slogged through like chores and like adulting forever, and I got exactly 2.5 hours of Anthem in. like that is plenty for me for like a while, to be like, oh God, like, yeah. Like, and I think I had this conversation, and I saw some conversations like this earlier today in some streams that I saw, where it was like, well, really, if you want to play it casually and just hop on, maybe just have some cool talks with your friends every now and then, it is perfect. It is great for that. But if you're like expecting hardcore, like I need to be chasing everything for hours on end, like half of you who like spent 8 hours getting your Dredgen title, like it's not there yet. Like we need time. We like they know, like and like you mentioned, like we still have to look forward to like the guilds. We have to look forward to like the legendary missions. We have like new strongholds. Like there's so much still coming down this road.
Competitive leaderboards.
Exactly. And that's something I know, even though it won't fill everybody's PvP itch that I know some people have, I feel like it's a good, starting point. Even though I kind of don't want PvP in Anthem, but
But say, look, I did this better than you. It's like, okay.
But I did talk with Chris Robinson when I was at PAX South in January, and they were talking about like, of course, he didn't give me too much stuff before the game came out, but he was talking about the story, and even one of the community managers talked to Jesse. But they were saying like these 3 months that they've shown off have been done. Like they're done with it. Like they've had 3 months ready to go at launch. So they're currently already working on more stuff like that we don't even know about. And we only know, what's coming these first 3 months, but they're already, I feel like they're really ready to pump out stuff. Even if it's not month to month, like the current roadmap, even if it's every other month, I still feel like it's going to be enough stuff, like said, to get players by from month to month. So I think, it'll be pretty good. Like I said, Anthem has a really bright future.
Yeah, and speaking to that, like it's possible they have even more than that, mostly fleshed out. Like, take Destiny 1 for example. Like that, with how that game launched, and from like dev docs and things all along those lines, the impression that most people got by the end of things is that Taken King was supposed to be, at least partially, that concept was supposed to be part of what Destiny was at launch. And they kind of spread it out over the year. And this, to a degree, this feels like it might be the same concept where, like, and it makes sense because you want reasons to pull players back in. And having quarterly content releases, or like, say, a Stronghold every 3 months, and the Cataclysm month-long event every 3 months, and 1 month full of just world events. Like, having this stuff to keep bringing players in, like, have a reason to pull them in, does help.
Right.
And then, with the addition of even, like, seasonal events, too, that I know the devs have teased before, too, I feel like even, that would be, like, if this was probably even launched a little bit earlier, I think we probably could have even got a Valentine's event in real early.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a candy red vinyl out there somewhere. And I think like exactly what you guys are saying, and I agree with it as well. And I also wonder, this is another conversation I got to be a part of and just like kind of listen to and like see if I agree or not, and try not to keyboard warrior my way back, through. It's just, the games are different now. Like Destiny and like everything else is like becoming like games as a service.
Yeah.
Like what is it going to do for you? Like, and I hate to phrase it in this way, but it's like if you're expecting Anthem to be the thing that you do like every day from now until you find the next hottest thing. You may be disappointed. Borderlands 3. Like, I don't want to say you'll be disappointed, but like just maybe rein in the expectation just a little bit. Just like.
Plus, I mean, even I guess other perfect example too is like I said, other games in the genre, like Destiny is a perfect example. I was a hardcore Destiny 1 player, and even a bit into Destiny 2 before Forsaken came out. But I remember how Destiny 1 launched in vanilla Destiny, and it was not that great of a game. It wasn't until even the April update came out that it fixed a lot of stuff that players had wanted to, and that was about 8 months after the game had launched. So yeah, and even Warframe, and I know Warframe has a different defense because it's a free to play game. But I mean, honestly, even if some of the founders didn't support the game back then, the game could have potentially died. Because I remember back in the day, there wasn't a parkour system in the game. Every enemy was the same skin, just with a different name. There was one tile set. So Warframe was definitely a different game at launch as well. So like I said, it's definitely, I feel like it's going to take some time. And I know Anthem is probably getting a bit more criticism because of how it like the year it released in. Like this isn't 2012 or 14 or whenever Anthem and Destiny had first came out, but it's definitely following the same trends. But like I said, I feel like Anthem is at least looking a lot more promising on where it's going to end up at compared to some of the other games. So
yeah, and you had to look at it this way because like turnaround time with the devs have better feedback than most studios. I know that Warframe they do community really streams a lot and things along those lines. But Bungie, like, just take an example. Like, so with this new season pass content, their general they still do This Week at Bungie every week, but like they didn't even tease this latest season of the Drifter until like last week, and it comes out tomorrow. So like
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, you got it 5 days early basically.
And like I guess that's their strategy, their approach to not overhype expectations, but like I don't know, like it still feels like something's missing. Like BioWare, you can ask the devs questions. They're open on Reddit, they're open on Twitter, they're open in numerous Discords, and like they're busy. They won't answer everyone all the time, but they will try to answer general questions.
Right, and like that's amazing.
Yeah, and that's where I feel like this game is definitely different from a lot of the other, like say, not even, I won't even say looter shooters in the genre, but just games. The fact that the devs are this open and this transparent about everything. Like anytime somebody has a question about something, even if they don't have a direct answer for it, they're like, "Well, here's a link for this," like go check this out. But they're generally pretty helpful. Like I said, that's something that Warframe is like extremely known for, is their devs and how they communicate with all of their players and people, and how well they receive feedback and even change and adjust things to players' needs if they feel like like similar to what's about to happen with the loot in game. Like people were like, we don't want greens and whites dropping at level 30, and the devs are like, yeah, we agree too. So we have that coming as well, as a change. So I feel like the way the devs are currently is, like I said, it's pretty top notch from a AAA studio, to be this good. It's a breath of fresh air to see BioWare and the team as open as they are. So
and at some point, I fully expect them to get rid of the blues and purples and just give us materials.
Yeah, because I mean, essentially that's in game is dismantling all of them. So
I see in chat there. It's nice to see a lot of optimism about the game. It's hard to be a fan of Anthem at times. Interior. I agree. Like it's one of those where you're just like, it's like you stay away from the thing I love, but yes, it has things it needs to work on. It's like it's one of those.
Like
where,
you can be critical about the game, but you can still be optimistic as well. So
hearing the news of the PS4 issues really broke my heart a little.
Yeah, it was like,
was
It's like, do I play this after the podcast today on my console? Well, let's find out.
yeah. Like I said, being a PS4 player, that's like, whew, just don't. Like I said, I haven't had it happen yet, but like I said, which is surprising because console for me has been like a really smooth launch. Like I know a lot of people in my Discord are like they've had bugs and all these other things, which I definitely agree that some of those happen, but really I haven't had any like major issues. Like I think I've been kicked maybe once or twice, and I've got an error code here and there, but console's launch for me at least has been like really smooth, like surprisingly smooth.
Yeah,
especially after coming off of playing the early access on PC. Like, whew, I streamed that on Twitch, and yeah, that's a whole another experience.
yeah. I played. I mainly play PC, and I've done a little bit of the PS4. But like PC, all in all, has been an amazing experience. And I noticed the little weird bugs on the console end. Like,
yeah,
I guess because it just can't handle it as well. But
yeah,
like one issue that I have is because I actually have a solid state in my console is I spawn like 20 or 30 seconds before everyone else. So I kind of like I do not want to be the jerk that like goes off and flies and then starts constantly tethering everyone the entire mission.
Tether. Yeah.
So like I just wait there and chill, looking at the scenery.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like we've had kind of a similar console experience as well, because I play on the other side. I'm on the Xbox, and it was like I think the only major things I've had happen was just the audio bug that we've known about. It's like, all right, cool, I'll quit it and I'll restart it. And the only other one was I missed out on a very important cutscene in the middle halfway. You guys probably know which one I'm referring to.
Oh, that sucks.
And I won't say more to not spoil it for anybody. But let me tell you, I was really hoping that because I quit out of it because it glitched me into that scene. I was like, well, I'll quit and come back. I did not get that scene. So gonna go to YouTube for that scene later.
and that's similar to my PC experience, because I know some people had like really good PC experiences, because I was streaming it and I was also looking at other people stream it and they were just playing it perfectly fine. I just felt like maybe I just happened to get like every bug that you could get for PC. So like I got the tomb bug, the tomb mission bug, where it just wouldn't even appear on my screen. So I couldn't do anything. And so I had to literally create a whole nother pilot, work my way back up to that level. And that was a bad experience because, And then this was before the day one patch where they even fixed, like by level 3, you'd have to. So we already had to grind it. And then even later on, like the second to last mission of the game, it just completely just like I thought we were just supposed to kill enemies, and even my chat was like, oh yeah, it takes a while, you're gonna kill some enemies, and I'm like,
it'll be fine.
Okay, this is like 25 minutes in, nothing's happening. So I just like in the mission I go back in, and then it worked properly, and I'm just like, I just wasted like 30 minutes on this mission for no reason. And then, like I said, I had a bunch of audio bugs, and then I missed the end cutscene. I know I heard Skill Up say it happened to him, and the exact same thing that happened to him happened to me on PC, where the very final cutscene after you fight blah, 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 it skipped the entire cutscene for the end, and then the epilogue at the very end had no audio. And then when it cut out, my controller wasn't working on my PC, and I'm just like, no! I was like, what is this? So I had to watch the entire ending on YouTube. I was just like, man, like I said, on PC, it wasn't the best experience. That's why I was really happy when I moved, or when I started playing on console, that I streamed the entire game on my YouTube page with no problems. Like I didn't get kicked. Nice. There wasn't any bugs. That's why I was surprised how smooth it was running on PS4. And I'm playing on like stock PS4, like the very first launch edition of the PS4. So yeah,
nice.
Gotta rock out those classic PlayStation 4s.
Oh yeah.
Right. So speaking of the story, and as best as we can, without spoilers, plug your ears, chat. What's one of your well, I shouldn't say what's one of your favorites, but what are your thoughts and about your story experience with Anthem.
I actually really enjoyed the first half and the last half. The middle was okay, but it was mainly because they tried breaking it up with so many missions that it just felt like you were doing so much other stuff to get back to the story. Like the tomb quest that I know a lot of people talk about, and then there's a part where you have to kill titans that took a while too. That's what there was a lot of stuff in the middle that just kind of slowed it down a little too much for me. But the end like started really strong, and then it also finished very strong. And then there's also the potential of what's to come, because they left two. Like, I mean, there's a really big cliffhanger for the story, and then they actually left a story detail just open. So I know we're going to go back and explore that later. So I enjoyed the story. Like I said, I feel like the middle was just because of some of the tasks we had to do in between it. But the story overall was actually a good story, and it's nice to see a game have, you know, a story shooter launch with story and not have to, you know, make a sequel and then put a story in it.
Yeah. It's like this story is like, I'm with me not even having it finished yet, I'm already more compelled by this story than like half of the other games I've played, like excluding single player titles, like, because that's what they do. But like for this genre, this is awesome. Like I've never felt more compelled to be a character in a universe like before this. Like my only exception I think would be until Forsaken came out. Like otherwise I was like, meh, whatever. I guess I have to go watch some Bife videos and read some lore, you know. It's like, you know, like Anthem makes you feel very compelled with this story. So that's always good to hear.
Yeah, and Bife actually did a recent video about the story and the lore. It's full of spoilers, so don't watch it if you haven't finished. But like he was even pointing out what you were saying, how the first part seems extremely well polished. The end of the story also seems really well polished, but that whole middle section just doesn't seem to like fit into that groove very well. And like it's like it has a lot of great potential. I just want to see more things flushed out, I guess. So like I want, just as an example, this is kind of spoilery.
That's how I tried to avoid something.
So there's a character that you meet very early on called Prospero, and like he's in charge of the microtransaction store.
I love Prospero.
One of the things I didn't like, however, is how towards the like after you complete the game and everything, I expected him to give you something, say thank you for bringing the thunder. Nope. He was like, hey, why don't you buy something?
And it's funny because
listening to my story.
Me and my friends have talked about it, where it's like, I call it the Destiny syndrome, because whenever you play Destiny, it's like you've done all these amazing things, you've like saved the planet hundreds of times at this point, but every time you go back to the towers, it's like, hey Guardian, it's like, I think I should get a bit more recognition than this. Like I've killed Arekkz, I've like done like all these raids, I've stopped the world engine, like all these things, and I feel like that's how Anthem is right now. I think like I call it the Destiny syndrome, where it's like you're clearly a god among men at this point in the game, but you're just like, hey, what's up, freelancer?
And to
touch, like, hey, you.
To touch on that, Destiny does do that a little bit with their title system now. So, like,
they do? Oh, okay.
For example, I've earned the title Dredgen, and that's just like RNG luck, really. But like, so there is a little bit different dialogue that you have with the Drifter in the tower, because of that. So I mean, it's those little touches that go a long way. And I see a little bit of that in this game with a lot of the side NPCs, like
especially the story ones too. Some of the story ones are like, if you just listen to their conversations when you talk to them, it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then even after the Challenge of Valor quest, the chronicler, I think was his name. He has like really good like lore about the game that I'm like, I feel like most people probably skip it, but I'm like, don't.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like some of the conversations are really important and really good. But
speak to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a tip. If you haven't finished it yet, that's how to make these middle grindy parts a lot easier, is by doing all the random side quests. So like doing the freelancer quests or Bryn Sentinel quests or anything along those lines, and like you'll automatically complete like a lot of those. Just like, for example, the tomb stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I wonder if that's just something that maybe could have been like kind of smoothed in a little bit more, because I could totally see that, where like that is definitely a good way to just write it out. Like, okay, here's the lull, and you have some stuff to do. Okay, next part. But it's like almost like an abrupt halt. Like, stop.
Because they just start introducing a lot of exactly. A lot of, I mean, again, they're all, like you said, they all are important, but they just start introducing a lot of new characters, and it's like, I want to get back to the tomb.
Right.
I want to see what's in there.
Like, wait, you just said we had important stuff to do.
Yeah. But yeah,
and on top of that, like something that a lot of people may miss is there's actually even more story to a lot of these NPCs, like through the in-game communications, like email kind of system. And
I forgot about that.
Read more about them.
Yeah, because I check sometimes, because they have like, it's like a normal email. It has like your junk mail and like all this other stuff, and it's funny because like I'll see some of them, because some of them is like about like a disease or like hey, you want to buy like an ad for something, and it's hilarious. Some of the stuff that they have in there is actually
I treated it like I do sometimes my regular email. Didn't check it for like since launch, and I was like, wait, holy, I have like 50 emails? Come on! Like, oh wait, hold on. Apparently people do X and Y. I'll let you guys figure that out on your own, what they do, because it's actually some pretty funny stuff in there.
Yeah. And then there's actually one NPC that I want to say, if y'all haven't talked to yet, when you beat the game, talk to the old lady in front of the door. And she has the funniest. It is the best conversations you have with her. And there was one time where I was like, oh, okay, I'll choose this. Like one day, I got on the next day, and she was asking me these questions. I don't want to spoil it. And I'm just like, wait, no, I don't want to do that. And it like made me, but it was just like, I feel so bad that I just did this to this old lady right now, even though it was an NPC. But yeah, talk to that old lady if y'all haven't yet, because she has a really funny conversation with her. It's pretty interesting.
Okay, so moving on. Do you have a favorite javelin so far? And so, what is it?
The Storm, all day. Storm Master.
Knew that was coming.
But part of it originally came from my Destiny background, because I was a Warlock main in Destiny. So I was just like, oh, okay, I think I'm already going to float towards him. And then it's actually kind of funny, because when the devs started explaining him a bit more, they're like, he's the glass cannon. He's the DPS javelin. Can't really take a hit, but he does a bunch of damage. He'll be a bit more skilled, to play with. Like they made it seem like he was going to be like, okay, the top tier players should probably play with the Storm.
Right.
Even though after playing with them now, it's kind of like, I just feel like I'm a badass tank all the time. But but now it's after playing, like, Storm is still definitely my top, but I did kind of start messing around with a couple other javelins, and Colossus is right there now. Like, Colossus is right there, and even though he has some stuff that that I definitely miss when I'm playing the Storm, or is missing some stuff when I play the Storm, he's still actually a pretty interesting javelin. And I noticed even when I played him in the VIP demo, people were like, oh, you're just playing him wrong. I'm like, nah, no way. And then now that I've seen good Colossus players, I'm like, oh, okay, I see it now. So I've actually given the Colossus a chance now, and dig him. I dig the Colossus. But Storm Master Race all day still.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part is, like, all four of them are just really, really well designed. And I think people don't give Anthem enough credit in that sense because like that like you really can work on mastering each javelin, and they are very, very different experiences. Like
Yes.
I've said it previously that like taking off as the Colossus is like
it just
a flying ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember saying that during the demo too. Like you can definitely tell that each javelin has a very specific playstyle or a unique playstyle. Like definitely you can play it however you want to, but when you're playing certain javelins, it's like, okay, so this is how the Colossus should be played. This is how the Interceptor should be played, you know, and this other like their playstyles are definitely noticeably different, even though like if you were to just break them down, it's like, oh, okay, it's just another javelin with 2 gear attachments and a support ability. But no, they're clearly meant to be played, you know, differently. And like I said, they all have different play styles, which is extremely unique. And I kind of dig it. So,
right. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what can like really make it like a difference. Whereas I kind of felt that way like with other games like Destiny, but I feel like less of that with the Division, where it's just like, well, I mean, we're kind of all the same. We all just mounted up with LMGs and went through, like, not that different. But like, you can tell definitely when it's like, oh, there are 4 storms here. Okay, there are like, oh look, we have a storm, an interceptor, and 2 Colossus. Like everything has a different feel for a team makeup, and that's huge. Because, like, let me tell you, I'm not running out there as an interceptor to like save you all the time, guys. Like, I can't. I literally cannot. you know, but, like how you proceed as a team to get through those you know, Grandmaster levels is gonna make a difference.
Yeah,
and that's a good point you brought up too. Is just the team composition in general, because like you said, you can tell the difference. You know, depending on what you have in the team. And there's sometimes where you run a stronghold, or if you're running Grandmaster higher, it's just like, I don't know if I'll be able to run it with this. Like, not with the people, but like, it's just, there's a little too many interceptors right here. you know, like, it's good that y'all have your ult to pick me up if I need you to, but it's just, you can kind of feel it, like, especially when I play with some of my friends, it's just like, is this gonna be okay?
We gonna make it? Yeah.
But
and to point it out, like some people have even made the comment that like they ideally could even have like the gear restrictions more tightly enforced, I guess you could say. So like you can't actually play this specific content until you reach this gear score. So like
I can see that.
Yeah. Which I would be kind of okay with. Like I definitely wouldn't want to like every activity, but some activities where it's like Grandmaster, because I've ran Grandmaster where even, I mean, my friends do it sometimes too, where they'll carry a friend to Grandmaster, and I'm like, your gear power 190. What are you doing here? Like it's recommended 400. But yeah, I kind of wish there was like, I guess a certain lock, like on certain things, like a gear level lock on certain things. But I understand why there's not, because I mean, even if you just want somebody to go and test it out, you know, and just be like, this is what you're up for, you know, type of deal. So
yeah, and like to Destiny's credit, they do, like, even still, I mean, you don't notice it as much because it's like, I don't know, 20 or 30 point difference, but they lock you out of content if you're too low.
Right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've not gotten to that point yet where people are like, you know, dragging me around like they used to in the Division, where it was like, hey, you're gonna come do this really hard content. Like, am I? Like, are we? I think you're gonna do it, you know.
Yeah, and
so I would appreciate that every now and then.
Yeah,
that was a horrible aspect of the Division, is like, if one person was much higher level than everyone else, it's okay if it was like a range of 1 or 2 level. But if they were, say, 10 level higher, it was a nightmare.
Yeah. You know it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm happy they don't do that, because like if it was that plus the tethering and everything else, it'd be like, just forget it.
Man.
I'll be back later. You guys finish this level.
I haven't really tested it, but they fixed the tethering. It doesn't
Oh,
Yep.
it
yeah,
doesn't turn on as quickly. With the they
I
did that
noticed
in
it in
the
Strongholds a bit, but in free play, it's
Yeah,
like
you can do whatever
almost
you want.
non-existent now. Yeah, in free play,
Yeah.
because I don't think I've been teleported like since the update, like ever.
I don't know if it
Since,
exists
since it's
in free play at all. Like, does
it might not now,
Yeah.
because yeah, I really can't recall being like pulled or teleported, to somewhere someone else. So it might be
Right.
gone, but I know it's still there in Stronghold, but it's really not that noticeable. I think it's the most noticeable in like the Storm Tyrant mine, because it's
Right.
still in that same spot. Like every time you get out of the water, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're teleporting you. I'm like, oh, come on, I'm like right here. But
You're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
I
a
can
little
hear
ridiculous.
Sev crying from here.
Yeah.
Come on.
But that is probably just because it's a trigger mechanism.
Yeah, to
And
open
Right.
the doors too. So
yeah.
yeah,
So they just need to adjust that.
yeah.
So let's move on to controversies and news that have been
Get your popcorn, chat.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
the time. This is the time.
going through the community. So not this past Saturday, but the previous one, they accidentally buffed the loot drop rates, and everyone
Right.
was like, "Oh, this is so great! This is wonderful!" And then they re-nerfed it,
Stealth.
Yeah. By the way,
which annoyed a lot of people. I mean,
I
this
feel like
didn't.
if they would have told people, it wouldn't have been that bad. But the fact that they were just like, let's take this out real quick, even though it was clearly an accident. But yeah, I think if they would have just told people, like, yeah, we're changing this to, because I saw a lot of people commenting like, so when are you going to fix the loot drops again? I'm just like, it wasn't meant to be like that. But like, I saw that like all that weekend, like people were like on any tweet that a dev posted, it was like,
Right.
so those loot tables, those loot drops. I'm just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
calm down.
Yeah, and they did fix part of the issues. So the in Reddit they said that they were going to make it so if a weapon had a stat roll that didn't pertain to that type of weapon, it would apply to the javelin, so it actually works.
Yeah.
And
Right.
additionally, on top of that, there's just like legendaries, I believe, have a better probability of getting higher tiered stats, and which
Yeah.
I haven't got a single legendary
which
yet.
is well, I've got
You're
one
right. Me neither.
post and like pre, and I just got I think it was like called Venomous something, I forgot the name of for the storm, and the base stat or one of the stats on it is plus 250 extra damage on top of it. I'm just like, god, that's like ridiculously like,
Right.
strong. But I'm like, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, I've noticed though, like they did definitely increase the stats numbers on legendaries compared to the older ones. So yeah.
And see, and can you believe that like if they hadn't fixed the tables along with doing that, like I feel like it's a very fine-edged sword we walk as like people that consume a game. We're just like, I really want that legendary stuff easily, but I want to feel like I earned it.
Yeah.
It's like,
and as it stands right now, it's definitely feels like you earn it.
Right.
Even with like the whole luck system, I see a lot of debate about that too. Like, does it work? Does it not? But even with people trying to put on like luck pieces of armor and stuff like that to try and get better drops, it still feels like you're always trying to grind for a legendary, and you always have that moment where it's like, is that a green? No, that's a legendary. You like freak out. Like, and I love that moment that no matter any time I get it to drop, it's still the same thing. So it's the same thing.
Right.
And those are the moments that loot gamers just particularly just generally play for. Is like is that a masterwork? Is that a legendary?
Yeah.
Like that feeling of like, what am I getting? What am I getting? What am I getting?
And then even the end screen when it like shows and it's like, oh, what's gonna come from it? Like that was one of the things I love from Warframe because I collect and sell Rivens on that game a lot, and whenever you roll Rivens in there, they have different like special stats, and you never know what it's gonna be until it like opens, and it's like, what is it gonna? Okay, and I get that same feeling every time I get a new masterwork, even though sometimes it's like I have this component already, but every time it's getting ready to open, it's like, oh, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Even if it is a letdown, sometimes it's still you still always have that feeling what's going to come out of the masterwork or the legendary, which is always fun in a shooter.
Yeah, and but the other part of the fix that you referred to earlier, which is removing the white and the greens, they haven't done yet, and I'm assuming why is because like it completely screwed up their loot table again, and they didn't want a repeat of having to nerf that again after the fact.
Right.
Yeah. So
that definitely feels like a hey, let's just fix this one first.
Yeah. Let's take some more time, like a little more time, because I'd rather them take their time and fix it than it launch and then it'd be like super buggy. Or again, we have like really good loot drops or really bad loot drops, because like something I thought that may have been a reason why is like even if they remove the greens and white, I'm like, well, what if it just means all we're gonna get now is blues and purples, constantly, 24/7. So yeah, I'd rather them take their time and fix it to make sure everything's good before we get that update anyway. So
well, I mean, if we only complain then about blues and purples, then they have no choice but to give us a match. Right? That's how that works.
It's definitely an iterative process, but I'm sure, like, even though as much as they wanted to push that out this week, the whole console issue is a much higher priority.
Especially with it now gaining a lot of traction too. So it's definitely like, all right, let's get on top of this right now. Like that's a bit more important than like we'd rather you play the game than not have something to play it on.
Right. If you're complaining about loot, that means the game is working. So of the two to field, that would be the one to take.
Yeah.
And I guess we kind of touched on this, and maybe this could be your answer, like what we've just been talking about. But we've known BioWare, and if any of you who have been playing, or those of you who have not, BioWare is super transparent, super on top of being able to patch Anthem. It's in a state that I don't think I've seen any game in, where they have the ability to hotfix and patch things quickly. Super quickly. I don't mean like a week out, I mean like days out.
Not even days out, sometimes that day. They do it on the server end sometimes.
Oh yeah.
They have that ability to do that. And I don't know maybe if there are any immediate issues that you're running into still now, but what would you like to see addressed now for Anthem if there is an immediate issue that's impacting you?
Honestly, like I said, because I really haven't had on console, at least I really haven't touched PC again since I started playing on PS4. But everything, like I said, is still running a bit smooth. Like, there's still probably the issue where the enemies like despawn that I still get, or when I'm flying in and there's invisible enemies shooting me. Especially if you're on like Grandmaster 2, you don't want that. Like, you want to know what's shooting at you. But other than that, I really don't have any like major complaint, because like I said, my personal experience on console has been like really good. But I definitely dig everything that the devs are doing, because like I said, Warframe follows suit too, where they try to update their game, and honestly BioWare does it slightly better because they're updating it regularly. Like anytime there's an issue, if they can, however fast they can put it out, they put it out. And that's what can make or break a game. That's why I still have so much faith in this game, is because they know, the devs clearly know that it's not where they wanted it to be, but they're not stopping. Like, they're going to make sure they make this game what they wanted it to be, and keep pushing out content and stuff like that for us. So like I said, the devs are doing a fantastic job right now when it comes to updating this game, keeping people informed and whatnot. Like, it's pretty impressive.
Sweet. And I think I said also on that same bench with you there, where it's just like, good for now. Just just make sure that my PS4 brethren can not brick a console. I think I'll be great. As long as we can all be in here, like I said, like a few minutes ago, it's like, hey guys, if we're just getting together and we're complaining about loot tables, I mean, I guess we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if I had to point something out, one thing that frustrates me is like some of the legendary contracts some days are not beatable, like at all, and
okay.
that still needs to be resolved. Because
I didn't think about that. Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't had that issue yet, but now that you said that, I feel like I'm gonna get it and be like,
we manifested it here.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thankfully, there's a potential for 3, and like I've seen some streamers have days where they can't do 2 of them, and I have to say that's really rough. But like, I actually saw one streamer actually like just quit the game because he was frustrated with that fact.
Oh wow!
and like these little fixes will definitely help, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, even though it's small, it's still getting the game to where, like I said, the devs ultimately want it to be. And then once they get most of the bugs out of the way, they can start adding the content that they want to add. And then, like I said, thus making the game hopefully a much better experience for everybody and, have people coming back. Because, like I said, even Destiny 2 was in the same situation for a while until Forsaken came out. And I feel like it's not going to take a whole year for Anthem to get that way. I feel like I said, once most of the bugs kind of get worked out and kinked out, and then we start getting more of the content month by month, I feel like Anthem's going to be the game that a lot of players were expecting at launch. So, yeah.
It's like I'm hoping. Got my fingers crossed.
and continuing off of this, so what are your impressions of like the acts and the roadmap ahead? So let's just skip forward. Like right before year 2 starts, we'll probably have 6 strongholds, and we'll have 3 cataclysm type events.
Yeah.
And what?
Oh man,
other
3? That's right.
Yeah. What other types of things would you like to see thrown in there to further flush out the overall experience over this next year?
Well, some of the things that I've talked about with a couple of my friends too. Some of the things are, I guess, would be, a bit more lore, just because I know there's people out there like myself that just love the lore of the game. So even if it's just collectibles, or even if there's smaller quests that just give you a bit more lore into the game, that would be dope. And then I'd say like a fun activity to do. Like I know Destiny had introduced like Sparrow Racing back in Destiny 1. And I remember I loved Sparrow Racing just because it was such a nice break from just shooting stuff all day. It was nice to just get on a Sparrow and race. So I'm like, even if they added something like that, like javelin racing, or who knows what it is. I mean, they already have like the little rings that the ciphers project that you could fly through. So even if it was something like that, they could have that in there. And then, of course, seasonal events would be nice as well. And then something that I've talked about with a lot of people on my comment section, because like I said, a lot of people want PvP in the game, and I'm just like super against it in Anthem. But I'm like, I feel like a decent compromise would be maybe like a horde mode game style, even if it was like team versus team, but necessarily something where they wouldn't have to nerf your gear stat, like your gear, your abilities. Like it's just a group of 4 people versus another group of 4 people in a horde mode style, event. But I feel like that would be a nice way to balance it out. And I think even leaderboards would help do that too, because that's what a lot of people like in the game anyway, is either grinding to be the best or grinding to beat the best, or to climb that tower. So I think either, like I said, a horde mode, some fun activity, and then of course the lore would always be nice to come to Anthem a little later on. But yeah.
So Dorcius, you have any additions of what you would like to see over the coming
like
year?
After you said like we'd have 3 cataclysms by then, I was like, first one. Man, I got to see how that plays out. I kind of follow along the same lines. Like if we had like a javelin league racing, that would be kind of. I mean, the Interceptor already looks like a race car. Like,
yeah, I know, right?
like just make it happen. Give me some like slalom gates to fly through. That'd be cool. Or even if it was like in free play, where even if it was like kind of subtle, where it was just like you get like an audio cue from like Yarrow or somebody that was, like a joke about how freelancers used to like just do like impromptu like runs through like this canyon or whatever to see who could do it the fastest, and maybe he has like a top score on a leaderboard somewhere you have to be, like something like that would be kind of cool, because like I could totally see them integrating it into just lore and things that are in there. I hope they just continue to expand on some of the characters we've met already. I would love to see, like, Bryn is my favorite. Like, I will just say that. Like, Sentinel Bryn, I love her for how awkward she is. But if there's more of, like, that down the road, too, it's, like, more, like, stuff with the NPCs like that. Like, even with Sentinel Dax, it's just, like, I don't want to say it to spoil it, but it's just, like, more of that. Like, that was awesome, like, that kind of little story. Or, like, hey, what's happening with Matthias? Like, is there somebody new? Is there like somebody new from Corvus we get to like talk to? Like, any more of like NPCs that kind of spice up the world, because it's already a great world to be in. If there's more of that in year 2, like,
oh yeah,
like, dude, I can I just give you another 60? Like, here, take it.
Yeah, and that's actually more so of along the lines of what I want personally. I want BioWare to do what BioWare does best and focus on us building relationships with these NPCs.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, BioWare has made some amazing stories, but the reason why we love them is because of the relationships that we have with these characters. Like, it's great that we have these conversations with all these random, just bringing Prospero back in to the mix. I would like to see maybe him doing a few missions a month, and then if you complete them all, you actually can earn like a monthly final. I mean, it's a little small token, but it adds. You're working on building that relationship, and trying to have more interactions with these characters,
like a loyalty reward kind of thing.
Yeah,
it will give you a reason to even go back to them, because, like I said, most people really don't go back to the NPCs. Like I said, I do it just because I like to hear some of the funny side stories. But currently, as it stands, once you beat the game, there's not really a reason to go back to them at all. Like, I mean, if you just want some extra little rep on the side, but there's really no reason. That's why, like, I definitely agree with your point. Like, if there's a reason to go back to them to continue to build that, relationship with the characters, like, throughout the longevity of the game, that would be fantastic.
And I'm already past that point where, like, I've already interacted with all the NPCs.
Yeah.
And there's, like, no more dialogue options, really. And, like, what's frustrating is you can't even, like, go up and have conversations. So, like, in Mass Effect, you could talk to the CSEC agent.
Yes.
That you meet at the very beginning of the first game. Like, every time you go to the Citadel, and like most of the, like, 99% of the time it's pointless, but every once in a while he'll do like little updates, and like it's those little touches that make BioWare games phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought of something else that like totally doesn't mean anything really that I'd love to see in year 2. I'd want to see that somebody is making an audio drama of your freelancer. Because they already have like Crimson Lancer, it's like
talk to Faye. That's all I gotta say. When you get the game, talk to Faye.
Okay.
There's a conversation that you want to hear.
Okay.
And you know who's going to play your freelancer? The guy in the bar.
Oh,
yeah.
So
that's what, like I said, it is kind of sad that, like I said, a lot of people don't talk to the NPCs, because there is some like really, really interesting dialogue. Like said, not just character building, but even lore. And then like if you just want to go laugh, he said that old lady to me is still like the best conversation I had with anybody in Anthem so far. But and then the weird dude that always talks about earwax in the stairwell. But
Oh my god, yeah.
but yeah, some of the like I said, some of the conversations are actually really good. I hope more people actually talk to them and don't just write them off. Plus, if you're at that point where I'm at right now and you have to get 50,000 standing for all of your factions now, you might want to talk to these people and get some free standing because we need every bit of it. So
yeah,
so,
it's easy rep. You get cool, funny stories. Like it enriches your playtime. Trust us on that one. It does enrich the playtime. If it doesn't, you guys know where to at me on Twitter.
So let's see if since we're live, let's see if chat has anything they want to talk about.
Yeah, chat. We've been keeping an eye on you. I know we've been working Nicholas in the chat to like pick up that copy of Anthem, man. Just like
luckily I got one of my friends to pick it up too. I didn't like get him to pick it up, but even because I have my review of the game coming out, because I didn't want to like put it out like a week after the game came out. I wanted to definitely have enough time with it. But even similar to what I address in my review coming out tomorrow for the game is, even like regardless of what you see on YouTube review wise, I feel like Anthem's one of those games where you have to get your hands on it. And like my friend, what he did was go to Redbox and rented it for 3 days. And then after 3 days of playing it, he was like, I'm sold. Like he got the game. Like he addressed that there is a lot of bugs and issues with the game, but he knew that this was a game that he would potentially come back to play. And he's like a hardcore Division player. He plays Warframe with me too, so he's pretty big into looter shooters. And he was even telling me, he was sending me messages of links of like, so this is what somebody said about Anthem now. This is like of all these different reviews. I'm like, dude, I don't even want to try to defend you on it without you playing it. Like definitely play the game. And then, so like, I recommend, even if you have to rent it from Redbox or something like that, play the game and then make your opinion on it. Because like I said, even in my review that I have coming, I mentioned, I'm like, I don't even want people to take my opinion. I'm like, just play the game. Like, get your hands on the game and play it. Even if you have to go to a friend's house and do it, just play the game. And I think that'll definitely make people's opinions on the game change. So.
Oh yeah. And like, thank you for saying the Redbox idea, because I was thinking, like, for the love of me, I'm like I have friends who like are not gonna just drop 60. You know, they're like, what are your impressions? I'm like, well, I can tell you the same thing I said the last time.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe I'll just send you to Redbox. You know, like, here's like $10 from me. Go rent this, like, you know, and try it out and see what you think.
And if you have a good enough PC, you have like a $10 or $15 option to get Origin access and try it out for him.
Yep. Yeah. Enter your lobe echoing that in chat. We see you. Yeah. Go with the Origin Premiere and try it out.
He also pointed out that he wants to see the map expand. And
the devs have teased it on Twitter. I remember the devs have teased it. And I think there's definitely plans for that. After playing the game.
Definitively feels like that, considering how they constantly hint other cities.
And then even the Dominion city that they talked about, even leading up to the game a lot, Strawheim, and it's nowhere on the map. They're just like, they're the enemy from the north. And I'm like,
so
I mean, we could go north, but how north, you know? Like, are the Dominion. But and then, you know, all the different places that, you know, happened. Freemark, even though it's destroyed, it'd be kind of cool to go to like an abandoned, destroyed city, like have that addition added to the map. I think that'd be pretty cool, you know. But other places like that.
Yeah, and if you've ever played Elder Scrolls Online, that they start off with like 3 main continents, and slowly over the years they've added further expansions like Elsewhere and Morrowind and like Cyrodiil, just to name a few areas where you could explore. And like, I get the feeling that yes, this may take quite some time, but like you're gonna see big chunks added to this.
And looter shooters are the perfect place for it. I mean, every looter shooter does it. I mean, whether it's Destiny adding more planets, so you have more places to go to.
Right.
Same with Warframe, adding new worlds, and then even adding expansions to the worlds. Now they have open world sections on Warframe. So looter shooters are the perfect place to expand upon an already existing world, because it is a live service for the most part. So
exactly, and you can always just have a story reason why it changed. Yeah. Oh, I see some other good ones in chat. Eric Ward's, I like that idea. Having more bosses throughout the free play world. Something similar like the Tyrant Queen escaping above ground and going on a rampage towards the fort. I just imagine how that would go so wrong. Like, just like, oh, look, there's a Tyrant Queen climbing over the fort. Oh, crap. All right, cool. But I like that idea. Like, just more stuff in the world is never bad. Like, more things to encounter is good.
Oh, yeah. Plus, to mention, there's some other events that aren't in that weren't listed on the roadmap that apparently were supposed to be coming to the open or to free play. So who knows? We might get something like that, because that actually is a really good idea. Definitely more creatures or more of something else to do.
Yeah,
you know?
And apparently that Shaper event was supposed to happen this weekend, but they just kind of postponed it, maybe because of what's happening on the console and
right.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, if it happened, I must have.
Yeah, like it definitely was getting stormier, so I think it was like queuing up to ready for the event.
Yeah,
it just never really happened. So,
like, oh man, just random thunderstorms. Ooh, another one, Anthem. Like, that would be an awesome expansion. Like, just go to Anthem. Like,
the way they make it sound, it's like, I want to live there.
Right. Well, it's like literally the throne is there, right? The emperor is there.
Fix that.
So, like, that'd be great to see.
Didn't fix it. Okay, there we go. My bad.
Yeah.
But
there. I feel like there's potential for a lot of amazing content, and it's just a little flushing out, a little like this is BioWare's first venture into this whole looter shooter world.
Right.
They have experience of really flushed out stories that take place over multiple titles. Like even Dragon Age, for example. You're looking at like the Dreadwolf, and that has ties into the previous titles.
Right.
So, like
long drawn out stories.
Yeah. and even Andromeda has ties into Mass Effect 3. Like they left somewhere in that time frame.
Yeah.
And like it's just nice to see. I think people are like people from the looter shooter space are saying like I'm already like I'm here. I'm at the end game.
Yeah.
There's not enough stuff. Right. But like I think BioWare is trying to take this long approach, and we're not gonna fully appreciate it until like maybe even 2 or 3 years down the line, where we see like the story gets massive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you just made me think, like, just as a quick aside to that, or maybe not an aside, but it definitely kind of ties in with it. And I think it maybe just kind of ties into, as a consumer of all media, that we tend to binge. So if you do not get to binge all of it, it's like, well, why am I even going to bother? It's like, guys, like, do you know what it was like years ago? Like, do you know how long it took me to finish the Saiyan saga in the 90s? Like, it took me forever. I didn't get to binge that. Like, like you can't, you like let it come out in courses. It's like a fine dining meal. Like, it's not like, hey, I just bought like five big zippers from Zips. You know, I'm gonna chow down. Like,
plus I feel like the place that Anthem is in right now, it, like I said, in my opinion, I feel like it's perfect in the looter shooter genre. Like, it's not clearly not a masterpiece right now, but it's not a horrible game like a lot of people are trying to say it is. But the way that I feel like the gaming community is right now as a whole, if it's not on like God of War, Red Dead Redemption level masterpiece, it's nothing. Or if it's, I mean, if it's trash, it's like Fallout 76. Sorry, Fallout 76 fans, but I'm just giving an example. Like, there's never been really, like, recently there hasn't been like a middle ground for good. So like, if it's not masterpiece level, it's just like, okay, we're just automatically throwing it in the trash. And I feel like that's the sad part with Anthem, is I feel like that's what's been going on. Is like, it's a good game, but it's not a masterpiece quality game, or not like a great game. But literally, if you compare it to any other game in the looter shooters genre, it's almost identical in terms of what you do. Like, even when you think of like repetitiveness, because I hear a lot of people say that, like, I'm just doing the same thing. Every looter shooter, you know, is repetitive. Warframe, as long as it's been out, like I said, when you get to end game, you're either doing a spy, a capture, an exterminate, a defense. You're doing the same couple missions every time you come on. Same with, like I said, Destiny. You're doing the same thing, and I feel like it might just be because of the hype for Anthem was so big that people's anticipation kind of got lowered when it released. But like I said, as a release of a looter shooter, it just fits perfectly in that spot. Like, I don't want to say it's another looter shooter, but it's a looter shooter in that genre that I feel like is perfectly fine. It's a good looter shooter.
Yeah, and like at the same time, I was starting to feel that Destiny was feeling more like a job almost, with how taxing it could be to try and accomplish like everything in the week time frame. Like, I have thousands of hours invested in that game, and I still love it, and I'm frustrated with stupid stuff, and I see them like I constantly see them make like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 steps forward, and then they stumble backwards on something completely stupid. And like,
part of the reason why I stopped playing Destiny. Because like I said, I love Destiny, and I was actually one of the few people of my friends who even like prompted me to buy Destiny 2, and I was the last one to stick with Destiny 2. Like, my friends had already abandoned it, and I had both the collections. So I was already $100 in. So I was still playing Destiny 2 even when my friends left me. And I'm like, where'd y'all go? Like, I got this game because y'all wanted me to get it. And like I said, it was just I stuck with it through the bad, and I feel like even though I knew there was a lot of good coming, I wasn't really ready to shell out $40 for all that extra good. Just because I feel like they hadn't like gained my goodwill back, I should say, for the game. But
I haven't played Warframe much, but I feel that whenever, like, around the time Fortuna was coming out, they really hit their stride. Like, this is like, they know what type of content they want. They know what they want to deliver, and this is how they're moving forward, kind of deal. And like, you had to appreciate little touches, like where, like, Anthem, like, they haven't hit their stride yet. They just released, but they are like just flooring it on all these fixes. Like, this is like, I don't think people appreciate that enough. Like, if this is going to be the standard moving, like, the only other studio that updates like this much, almost, it's not even this much, is Epic, and that's because they make like, I don't know, $1 billion a month on microtransactions.
Like, hey, you want airplanes? Yeah, we'll give you airplanes. Hey, you want a ping system? We'll give you a ping system. Like who else does that?
Hey, they got the money for it,
right?
Yeah, hire 2,000 new devs.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I wish I had that kind of pull, but like BioWare is just like, haha, we could do that. Watch.
And like, to like, this game has been like years in the making. Like, the Frostbolt engine or whatever, Frostbite is designed for things like first person shooters. And they are using it for things like FIFA and Madden And like the hardest problem was actually games like RPGs, because they didn't have simple mechanics like ability to pause and save.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Who
and
wants to do that?
so you had to think about it. Dragon Age Inquisition and Andromeda were like kind of test projects to better make this engine support this kind of structure.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
it's just like they're constantly building on it, and they've gotten to the point where they can do server fixes like instantly. Oh, this is a big problem. There's too much loot populating in the game. Let's fix that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think we maybe have time for one more question, and I think this is a good one. I think we maybe kind of touched on it already. This one coming from chat. JKS guy code 17.
Hey, what's up? He won one of my giveaways.
Yo, welcome back. Do you guys think at least around winter this year, we will start to see Anthem really pick up content-wise and make the game shine in a new light like The Division did 6 to 8 months after launch? My short answer, because we kind of touched on this a little bit, yes. Definitely yes. Because if we're saying 6 to 8 months from now, we are technically in our first month of that 90 days. We're gonna have a bunch of stuff happening within the next 60 days.
Yeah. Like I said, April we're getting a massive update. So
yeah. So if it continues like this kind of trend for 6 to 8 months, there will be an insane amount of things, and I think you're gonna see a lot of people turn around if they haven't already, and really give Anthem that first shot if they didn't already.
Yeah, I think 6 to 8 months, in 6 to 8 months time, winter time, I should say, especially getting close to like Black Friday, Christmas.
Right.
I feel like there's going to be something that the devs probably have up their sleeves, because I mean most games do, whether it's like Destiny with Forsaken, they want to get that big release to get people to buy their games for the holiday season. So I think BioWare might have something planned, like along with the updates that we're already going to be getting. But I definitely think that by that time, Anthem will already be working on where it's wanting to go, and I feel like it's just going to be going up. But I think it's going to be in a really good place come winter, like definitely a really good place, and hopefully what comes after is even better. So
yeah, I mean, and you have to think about it. By that point, we should have 2 more strongholds, and at least probably around 2 more cataclysms after that point. So people already have a good gauge, and that might be the perfect point to join in to get ready for the next one. Like winter is coming, kind of catastrophic event.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that. I really am.
Yeah, even if it's Christmas at Fort Tarsis,
right? Yeah, like something.
Yeah,
like it was the night before Fort Tarsis. Yeah. I would listen to that.
Wonder if Santa is secretly a grabbit.
Right. I'd love to hear the hopefully they add new, like the radio in Fort Tarsis, because I know there's like the radio you can turn on and just stuff too. It'd be kind of cool if they added like seasonal stuff like that would change throughout.
That'd be actually really good.
Yeah.
Well, D.A.I.K.I, I should say more formally, D.A.I.K.I style. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, I've definitely been planning on been waiting to come on here, so definitely got to be here, and definitely had a really good conversation. So
glad to have you
on. But before we part ways tonight, for any of our listeners and or viewers who don't already know you and follow you, where can we find you?
On YouTube at D.A.I.K.I Style Gaming, and on Twitter at D.A.I.K.I Style Game. Couldn't play gaming because too many characters. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, you guys be sure to go and drop a follow if you want to see all the things that D.A.I.K.I Style is doing, whether it be Anthem, whether it be Warframe. Let's go support our fellow Storm main here.
Oh yeah. Don't be afraid to say it. It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
They are pretty amazing. Come to the dark
Yep.
side.
I can't.
And if you would like to follow Fort Tarsis Radio, we are on Facebook and Twitter, as well as Instagram as FT Radio. And we post here on YouTube.
Yeah. And thanks again for watching, everybody. My name is Dorcius. I'm your Interceptor co-host over here, who's watching these two fly around. You guys know you can find me on Twitter at Dorcius, and you can find me streaming Anthem, along with a bunch of other games over on Mixer at mixer.com/Dorcius.
And I am Adema360. You can find me streaming occasionally on Mixer, and you can also follow me on Twitter at Adema360. And we'll end this with a silly selfie at the end.
Oh, that's our thing. That's our shtick. So, what, on 3 or 1?
Yeah, I know, right? 3, 2.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning
Catch
in.
you later.